Welcome back to another episode of Just Learn Crypto. As always, I'm with my homie Aidan, and we're here with Jeff Crane from NFT the Movie. We're going to dive into this cool NFT project. But before we do, I want to give a huge thank you to our sponsors. So thank you to ubiquity.io. Thank you to carcitycanada.ca. So anyone in the Ontario or Ottawa region, they will take Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies if you want to buy a car from them. And they have some really nice luxury cars on the lot right now. And also R2 Collectibles, they've been sponsoring all of our giveaways on the Saturday Sesh. If you haven't been on the Saturday Sesh, it is a Zoom call where anyone is welcome to come and learn about NFTs. We pretty exclusively talk about NFTs on the Saturday Sesh. Jeff was actually a guest last weekend on the show. One of my favorite episodes that we've done so far. It had a lot of really great moments. So Jeff, thanks for coming on the show. You look like you're sitting in a parking lot in 1875. So what's going on here?
You know what, Shawn? We've talked about this, I think, in previous conversations. I feel like, because you're a car guy, a car is the closest thing to a time machine a person can ever purchase, right? Like usually in the summertime here in Utah, I've got the top down. I think last year was an 84 white on white VW Cabriolet with Billy Idol playing. I mean, you want to talk about going back to the 80s, right? So yeah, I'm in this 97.
You know what I drive too, right?
Dude, let's hear it.
I've got a 98 Crown Victoria with an all blue interior with wood trim and a green digital dash. So the whole dash is like analog green digital. They only made that dash for 2 years, and yeah, it just smells like old man. I love it.
I'm in a new car 3 times a day, whatever the Uber driver shows up with.
Oh, there you go, bro. You're the smartest one in the whole bunch. But really this is the I'm going to move the camera just a tiny bit, but this is a little kind of a little Western town, kind of faux little place that people come and hang out.
Do they film movies there? Do they do farm?
Well, it looks like it. They've just made this little commercial place kind of look like the West, because I'm in a place called Heber, and it's over by Park City.
It's pronounced Heber.
West of Park City.
Yeah, it's actually Shawn Heber.
It's Shawn Heber.
Oh, it's Heber. That's what it is. Yes, because it's French, of course. And it's a beautiful place, and it was only accessible by actually a steam locomotive. It's really a Western kind of town. But I'm sitting in the NFT mobile that I've probably showed you guys multiple times. I've got this thing all wrapped out with people's signatures, and I drive. Check this out. You ready for this, guys? I know you know the answer, Shawn, so I'm not going to make it easy for you. But Aidan, do you know, don't Google it, bro. Do you know how many miles the average American puts on their car every single year? What's your guess, Aidan? And Shawn, you can guess too.
Well, can we guess in Canadian?
Kilometers. That's right. I'll try to dude, I'll have to do that.
I can do the conversion, no problem.
Okay. What is it?
Like 2.2 or something like that?
2.2 what, for the year? How many miles?
No. The conversion, like one.
Oh, I see what the conversion is. Yeah.
Or 1 mile is 2.2 kilometers, I think.
Yeah. I'm gonna say 18,000.
Kilometers or miles?
Miles.
What about you, Shawn?
I think the average American.
Yeah, man. Pre-COVID, post-COVID.
I think lower than that. I think for sure.
Like, gotta call it.
I don't know, maybe like 11 or 12.
Okay, you're in between, so it's 15.
Okay.
So if it was kilometers, it could have been.
That's how me and Aidan fight too. He goes high, I go low.
Here you go.
And Shawn gets high, and then we're all good.
Yeah.
Give or take. Well, check this out. In the last 60 days, I put 15,000 miles in this car. I did 6,300 miles going to friggin' Miami and back, getting lost like 700 of those miles.
Yeah.
Google Maps suck. But point is, dude, we were talking about the show about where we feel most comfortable, and I feel most comfortable in my car doing business.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's a shelter. It's a home on wheels. It's been a home on wheels for me at different times in my life.
I've been there.
It's the mobile command center, bro.
It really is.
So what are you driving right now? What are you driving right now?
This is the 97 BMW Z3. This is it. This is the car I'm driving.
So that's pretty much the same as those new Toyota Supras.
Yeah, sort of. It's older, and it didn't intend to be like this. 20 years ago, I had started a company. It was an online dating site here locally. And I had wrapped a car and it did really well. And then subsequent businesses, I had done the same thing. This was unique because going into Miami, didn't even conceive, but there was 0 out of 20,000 people, 0 cars that were kind of like dorky like this one. And this is the time to do it.
Of
I mean, if
course.
next year there's going to be 50 of them, like, what's the
Yeah.
point? So right now it's kind of fun because people roll up and are like, what's an NFT? And I'm like, you know what? You're going to get it soon. Or people will roll up, and I don't mean to use that accent in a demeaning way.
It's just
It's just funny. But
Yeah.
people will roll up and they'll tell me exactly what they think it is. And I'm like, you're right. I don't care what they say. You're right. I'm not the judge.
Is
and the
that because
jury.
everyone has guns in America and you're in a convertible, or?
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I forgot you guys are Canadian. You can throw those little, yeah, especially where I live, dude. Oh my gosh. It's
Is
like
that
on
a
their
thing?
hip.
Or can traditionally do Canadians run their mouth more because not everyone has a gun on them?
No,
know
that's
I
not
do.
it at all. It's the
I know
gun
I
joke.
run my
You guys
mouth
don't
a
have guns
fucking
up
lot.
there.
So
No, I'm from East LA area, dude. I already know how not to run my mouth. No, it's just, it's a great conversation piece. You roll into a gas station in Georgia. This happened.
yeah.
This guy rolls up and he goes, NFTs. I'm like, yeah. How are you involved? He goes, well, I make them and I do avatars for video games and I paint shoes for clients. My son paints shoes. And like
Oh,
in the
that's
middle of nowhere, you make these really
Yeah.
cool connections. So it's kind of like, no offense to Christians, but it's like carrying around a big freaking cross. You're like,
Yeah,
hey
you're
man, I'm a
gonna-
Christian too.
Yeah, or having, a Bitcoin logo on your car. Like when in 2017, when I got into crypto, I was brokering for a company, and I put a huge gold, like a shiny gold. I wrapped my whole back window with mobile Bitcoin ATM, and I had a gold, like 1.5 foot wide, shiny Bitcoin on the back. And yeah, man, I met some cool people just because back in 2017, like especially right when we were coming into a big bull run with crypto, like that was when. Kind of like how it is right now with NFTs is everyone's heard of it, but not everyone knows really what it is, and they want to know more. They're hungry for more, knowledge about it. So you're literally throwing up the flag that's like, hey, it's okay to come ask me some questions, and that comes with responsibility, man. I mean, it really does, right? And because we've seen people use this exact same strategy, with ill intentions, right? We've seen MLMs that, or whatever pyramid schemes and all those that have done the whole flashy car and this and that, and to get people coming over, and that's how they network and stuff. So it's great, like knowing you. I know obviously your intentions.
Yeah, well, amazing, and here's the funny part. This thing's it cost $4,500.
Yeah,
it had 92,000 miles. Now it has 108,350 miles and has an oil leak. And if anybody knew me before this car, I always buy like 80s cars, like the Monteros, the Troopers.
Is this the newest vehicle you've ever had?
No, I've had A8s. I have the flashiest car. I've had the Rolexes. I've been through all of that. It's just a fun little convertible, and people actually think it's a friggin' Miata, dude. It pisses me off. Like I'll be in like Miami, like, hey, nice Miata. I'm like, freak you, dude. But here's the thing I'd like to shed light on. There's something to be said about personal brands. I have a really good friend. His name's Skyler. He'll see this someday, and he'll agree to everything I'm saying. One day we're in Puerto Rico. It was about 3.5 years ago. And he comes up to me and he goes, Crane. All my best friends call me Crane. So you guys, Aidan and Shawn, call me Crane. He said, Crane, listen, I see what you do, and I see how you put people together. Yeah, dude, freaking Ty Crane. And he goes, I see how you put these people together. And he goes, teach me something. And Aidan, oh my gosh, that was perfect timing, Shawn, because your hat was on backwards. That's what reminded me of the story. So I said, and I meant this. And I said, okay, now this is what he was at. Here's where he was at. And I said, Skyler, I said, bro, you're 007, but not when you wear that hat backwards. When you wear the hat backwards and you walk in. Now, wait a minute, homie. I like you with the back hatward. But he was asking me how to take it to the next level. And I said, when you walk in non-verbally, when you have that backwards hat, you're telling them something. No matter what you say out of your mouth, that backwards hat is going to share like, hey, I'm easygoing, I'm low key, I'm not really taking myself too seriously. You turn that hat around, Shawn, for a reason. Even subconsciously, you're like, I'm gonna get serious about this seminar
It's
or
usually
this
the light.
interview.
It's usually
And
the
or
light.
it's the light, you know, there's something functional, but people notice these things. And when I told him that, dude, he's like, he listened and he's like, done. And when he doesn't wear the hat backwards, I know he means business. Now I bumped into him in Miami and we're having pizza next to each other and his hat was backwards. And I knew it's pizza time and time to hang out.
See, Aidan,
But he
Aidan
wasn't
saw me
crushing
take
it.
my bead. Aidan saw me take my beads off one time, and he knew it was time to hold me back.
To leave the room.
Yeah,
Yeah, you said hold my beads in my
Yeah.
cookie case, and I was like, oh
that's how
no.
Aidan knows.
Wait a
it's
second,
fun.
Aidan. Did he say hold my beads or hold my beats? Because if he said hold my little beads, I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this interview anymore. Bro.
Hey, it's 2021. I'll hold whoever's
Hold
beads
my
I want.
beads. Oh, I'm gonna really get in a fight here. I don't need
So
these.
why make a movie about NFTs, man? Like what prompted that journey
So
that you're on
really,
right
it's such a good question, bro. Like again, Shawn, you're young. How old are you again, brother?
now? 31.
Yeah. And Aidan,
25.
you bastards, you bastards. I'm 52, right? So I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. I'm doing what you guys are. I'm so admiring
So
you.
give
where you're
yourself
at.
advice, because we're 10 to 15 years behind you, and
Yeah,
know.
well, that's why I bring this up, bro. I mean, I'm not giving you guys advice. The way I'm answering the question is everything cyclical. It's all been done before. Look at the scriptures, look at any kind of history. Dude, it's been there. It's friggin' done that. And all NFTs is an opportunity. The first one to raise their flag that says, I don't care if you're Beeple or NFT the movie, we have the trademark, we have the domain, we have some of the best people in the movie. And little by little, it becomes this platform, guys, where when people ask questions, rarely am I talking about NFTs. We're talking about life and how to get by and how we love each other and all that fun stuff, right? But so why NFT the movie is because I have such close relationships with people that I haven't transacted that are just relationship people that says, sure, Crane, come on in. I'll tell you my story, including you guys. We had an interview this Saturday. I thought you'd be sick of me. I get a follow-up from Shawn, like, bro, let's talk. I'm like, wow, how flattering. And then we get to have a personal conversation about stuff that we never, ever would have been able to have. And I don't give a rat's behind. I know it matters that anybody else is listening,
Mhm.
but the relationships that Aidan and Shawn that I'm building with you guys could potentially be lifelong. Now
Mhm.
multiply that by every city I go to, every
Yeah.
conversation I have 50 to 100 new potential lifelong friends. What more do you want in your damn life? So
I know,
as far
man.
as NFT, the movie, it's like World Wide Web. In 96, I had my first internet business, creditcardrates.com, and then homeclassifieds.com and an internet dating site. And I was Mr. Development. I was Mr. Noah building that freaking arc. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's other arcs out there. Why don't I help them plug those holes? So I went from business model to a point, guys, where I'm like, okay, I'm sick and tired of sitting in a boardroom. I love y'all if you're hearing this, a boardroom of people who have it half right and they're paying me to get them over the finish line. So I'm like, you know what? This time around, I'm just going to do my thing. And if somebody follows me, wonderful. And it almost feels, let me pass it back to you, gentlemen. And as you put that hat backwards, mean business, it almost feels like the same thing that you guys are doing. I mean, you did how many interviews today, guys?
This is our second one today, and I did one with a guy earlier this morning. So
Sometimes I'd rather get a shovel and dig a ditch than have, like, these interviews are not easy. Like having to come up with answers that you know don't offend, or like trying to be as honest as possible and transparent. It take energy at the end of the night? You're like,
So
holy mother.
it really does, and it takes energy in different ways now than it did for me in my first few videos that I ever did, because this wasn't a career path or something I ever thought I would be doing. I never thought I'd be in the crypto space. I never thought I'd be interviewing people, and I've interviewed some amazing people, and I get to meet amazing people like you, and something that I hope I can just keep doing forever, because it's just such a fun way to meet people and hear their stories and hear different stories and learn things. And that's what I love about it. But I used to get really nervous that I would just ask boring questions, or I wouldn't be able to keep the conversation going. And now I'm more like, before I do an interview, I just always tell myself, like, just be authentic, and just surrender the outcome. It's just, and that's how I deal with kind of everything in my life, is just be myself, like care about it and give it your best, but like don't, like you gotta just let things happen how they're gonna happen, man. Like there's a metaphor for life in there about just how everything, you can deal with it better when you're not stressed about the potential, because what happens is you end up in an imaginary relationship with an outcome that hasn't even happened yet, and you're now living in a world with this imaginary outcome, and it's like, man, you don't know that that's what's going to happen. Like, I don't know I'm going to bomb this video, I don't know I'm going to kill this video, like I'm just going to go out, surrender the outcome, be myself, how I am today, that what I'm feeling today. And I don't know, man, they seem to be turning out good.
You always want to focus on input, not output.
Yeah,
it's something that I actually did talk with the Saturday sesh. I found it hilarious, Jeff, that you knew I played poker. And there's a lot of metaphors for life, and one of them is that.
Are you kidding me, dude?
You
Business. If somebody understands poker, they understand business.
Yeah, you make life. The correct input every time.
Yep.
And I don't even look at the result. If
Yep.
I'm playing multiple tables, I've made the right play, I don't even look at what happens. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
You just keep making the right play and print money. And,
I love that. I love it,
business.
man. Yeah, you know, let me ask you a personal question, guys. It's not private, it's personal. That's a different one. So I'm gonna start with you, Aidan. Who is, living or past, a hero of yours?
Like that I know personally, or that I don't?
Could be anybody that influenced you in your life, living or fictitious or deceased.
My uncle Hal.
How come?
He's the smartest person I know. He's one of the main reasons I got away from drugs. But at the same time, he's like just so humble and happy. And I mean, happiness is the ultimate goal. And I see there's a lot of people where I look up to them in a different way because they're successful, they're good at what they do. Someone like Elon Musk, for example, but that motherfucker's not happy, right? And
I don't think he is.
And so that's I think the defining thing for me is someone who can, you know, have a great influence on a lot of people, but still recognize that you have to be happy internally for that to happen.
And that's your Uncle Hal.
Yeah.
Awesome. How about you, Shawn? Who's your hero, living, deceased, fictitious or not?
I've been sitting here the entire time Aidan was talking, trying to think if I had an answer for that question, if you were going to ask me the same one. And I've been struggling with even coming up with one, to be honest with you.
Who do you tell stories most about? Do you like stories of people, and who do you tell stories about? If you're going to tell a story about somebody, do you tell them about? So it's about your stories. So maybe you're the hero's journey.
Honestly, man, that might be it. And I hope that doesn't make me a narcissist.
Not at all.
Or anything.
Not at all.
But I mean, I've been through a lot of shit, and I've been the thing that got me out of it. Every single one of the bad positions I got into. So
yeah, you're self-aware. You're your own hero, dude. I love that. I'll tell you what. I don't ask that.
I just think hero's a strong word, and I mean, Aidan, I'm jealous you have someone in your family that you can look up to that's close. I honestly don't.
Heroes aren't perfect though, Shawn.
Of course not. Yeah, no, they're definitely.
Let me tell you my hero. It's Moses. Moses killed Pharaoh's guard. He got kicked out of court. He left his wife. I mean, that he was hardcore. But the God that that he followed came to him and said, "Hey, man, I need you to take these values, these principles down to these crazy people down there that your brother's having fun with." And at the point where Moses was, he was really old. He's like, dude, I don't know how to talk to these people anymore. And he goes, well, tell your moron brother Aaron, he'll be the voice piece. Here's why I like Moses, and I like that whole story. Because I haven't killed anybody, but I'm just as flawed. I've done so many stupid things in my life, and yet he led hundreds of thousands of people out of the desert. And guys, here's the trick of how he led them out of the desert. And Shawn, this is you, bro, to a degree, and so you as well, Aidan. There's no bloody way he could have led hundreds of thousands of people with their donkeys and their complaints and the kids and the crippled out of the desert had he not been kicked through the desert and made it through to himself. There's no friggin' way. He had to make it through the desert to lead those people. So the reason I ask you about this hero thing, guys, is because whether you're a hero to yourself or somebody else, It is this thing that we're leaving in the ethos, this movie or these interviews, where when we're done, they look at it and go, what was that really about? And you're like, this was about a person in a moment in time figuring out that their self-worth as an artist, musician, or filmmaker can be valued. And then they take hold of it and freaking do it. Like, that is the human condition. Whether you're an Olympiad that goes in every 4 years that you've trained, you know, to win that gold medal from the very first time you ran that race, or any of these technologists who've been sleeping on park benches or in their cars, whether they make it to the mansion or back down, it doesn't matter, because look, the guy who gets rich or gal who gets rich, who gets to the very top, you know what they discover? So empty up there.
Yeah.
And they creep back down to the rest of the people. So you'll find that the most wealthy, smart people actually try to hang out around people, because that's where the love is, right? But anytime, and I'll pass it to you guys, anytime we get into a state of scarcity, it's because we're afraid. We're afraid. Like, when I was late for this appointment, for 2 seconds, I felt sad. And I'm like, screw it. I'm going to get a sandwich. I'm going to get this plug from my phone. And I'm going to tell these guys I'll be 15 minutes late, which of course I showed up 30 minutes late, and everything worked out fine. What would have been the point of me worrying and being so like worried that I offended you guys? When I got on the call, I'd be so uptight and like apologetic. It would ruin the whole thing. And because you guys are so cool, you're like, it's cool. It's Crane. He's got freaking stuff to do in his little convertible.
You can't, yeah, rush is a band, not a way to live your life.
Ah, that's right, man. That's a good one, dude. Those, I forgot the Canadian. See, another Canadian reference, dude. You got Rush.
Yeah, what was the other one?
And a pretty good joke.
I think,
The guns.
I think for a lot of people that are very successful, you know, the end goal is to leave a lasting impact, and that's something that's really hard to quantify, is if you've actually changed something in the world. I always
Aidan.
joke with my circle, and I say that if I had to say one life goal, what would be the ultimate dream? And I don't know, as I become happier and have more people I care about, I don't know if this is the goal anymore, but it would be to be assassinated. And the reason is that means you've changed something big if you get taken down that way.
I got, so the assassination part, that is because why, Aidan?
Because it means you're changing the game. You've become a threat to the status quo.
Yeah, no one assassinates a nobody.
Yeah, you know what? You just planted a seed, man. I don't know if I want to go that far and change the world. But you said something, Aidan, that I apologize. Sometimes I do this. I think it's Tourette's. I jumped in real quick and I'm like, whoops. So I apologize for interrupting. But you said sometimes people they'll want to leave a legacy. I think what you guys are doing now, and I'm not restating anything for anybody, but for myself, I'm living the legacy. Like, while I'm doing what I'm doing, I am like impacting people everywhere I go, and any time I pick up the phone or whatever the case is. And it's not, oh, it's going to happen one day. It's happening right now. Like, it's projecting itself, and I end up in certain places. Like, I don't even question it anymore, because if I question it, it will stop. So I'm not even looking back. I'm like, I don't know how I got here, but I'm just going to keep going. You guys ever feel like that?
Yep. Yeah, it's a quote from Steve Jobs. It's in my top few is the key to life is to act like whatever happens is what you wanted to happen. And you look back and
that's what I mean. Surrendering the outcome, man. Like, when you really believe in yourself and you really know that you have what it takes to pull your fucking pants up and get yourself out of any situation, then you can accept any outcome. You're just like, yeah, okay, if this works, I'll deal with it. If it doesn't work,
dangerous. It's dangerous sometimes.
Oh, it's dangerous for sure.
That's why I've just become numb to anything bad that happens. I'm just like, yeah.
Especially, I think all three of us have worked in similar industries in the past, which was direct sales, door-to-door, business to business, you know, cold calling, things of that nature. You have to become indifferent to the outcome, and you have to play it as a numbers game to see any success, right? Like, you know, you're going to have, like, with these direct market, all of them, ours included, like 90% of the income comes from 5% of the people that work there, the top earners, right?
Absolutely. I always say that, Shawn. They used to say it was the 80-20 rule. It's the 95-5 rule. And the other thing is, let me just qualify one thing for anybody who would actually, if they're listening to this or when they listen to this, is this. It's because you care. Like when I went into Alaska and I was talking to people about their alarm system, and there was only so many quote unquote points for the system, right? I was literally losing money. The owner of the company, I won't say who it is, he's a dear, dear friend of mine. And let's not even try to guess who it is, because he's a great guy. He's like, Crane, you're crushing it. What are you doing? Are you doing it okay? I'm like, yeah, whatever. I was literally giving systems away because I could not stand to think that I would shortchange somebody. And I had to fix the way I was doing things. But when you really care about somebody, numbers do not matter. Like the number of kisses, the number of hugs, the number of whatever it takes to get into bed, that's not important. If it is to you, you'll never get in bed. That's why the freaking nerds never make it to bed, dude, because they keep counting the kisses.
Don't count your kisses before they're humped.
There you go. There we go. Wow, that's a shirt. That's a t-shirt.
Right?
Trademark.
Yeah, put that on a Beamer.
Yeah, right. Oh my god.
So what are all the locations that you're gonna film this movie in? And like, do you have anyone that you still haven't gotten a hold of that you want to have in the movie?
It's a good question. I'm glad you said locations. Shawn, you're so tuned into kind of our audience, because whenever you're at crypto, you name a city. You can name a city in a year, and you could pretty much know every single person in that area, in that group that was going to be there, whether it's Puerto Rico, Miami, LA, whatever.
Vegas.
So Vegas, darn right. And then there's certain events, like you say consensus, or you say, if it's old school, D10E, or newer school, Coin Agenda, and all the other in between. So the answer is we've been to now. Okay, the way I do business is you'll never ever really have a great relationship on a one night stand. I don't really believe that's the case. So what we're doing is we're going into epicenters that will be returning to show the film. So we went to Austin, right? We went into Southern California, which covered Beverly Hills and Newport Beach, and then Miami. We'll be going, and then of course we have here in Utah, that I want to make sure that we have the epicenter here, back to Newport, and then Puerto Rico, and then we're done. But let me share like something that I may not have shared with you on the podcast, that anybody can use right now, this kind of technique in their career for arts, music, and filming. Today, you can do this right now. Nothing is stopping you from doing this. And we plan on doing this as soon as we filming at the end of July, which will be our last gig, will be essentially Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And I'll answer that other question as far as, is there anybody that we've wanted that we haven't gotten? We could do the film now. We could cut the film up and we would have more than enough content. What we'll be doing in Newport, the 9th through the 11th, down at this jazz thing, and then down in Puerto Rico, we'll be able to do another film. But check this out, guys and gals who's watching. So when we're done, cut, we're going to edit, we send it to the film festivals, just so we can just get it out to the real world. What we'll have is we'll have a series of these parts of the movie that we'll cut up into parts. Now, imagine that, and it's happening already, and it just can't get there. Imagine somebody from Germany is like, "Hey, bro," I'm gonna use a German accent. "Hey, bro, we've got," I can't even do it. We've got this really special thing.
How many demographics can we offend in one?
Yeah, exactly. Let's do it. This guy, they're like, he's 52. He's old as ASS. Let him go. So anyway, let's say there's somebody in Germany and they're like, "Look, Jeff, there's so much going on out here. You need to fly out." And I say, "No, find me a film crew, make sure it's my content, send me the content about what's going on in NFTs. Let's collaborate. We'll put it into a smart contract, and we will put NFT the movie on that bad boy, and that will be ticket number 7. Somebody from India sends us something, somebody from Hawaii. It doesn't matter. We don't have to fly out there anymore and put a camera in their face. We now can collaborate like painters and musicians. Why not filmmakers? We want to create a whole new way of looking at collaborating, because there's people all over the world that are the best at what they have, but they're so afraid, scarcity wise, to let it out there because it's going to get stolen. Not if you collaborate live, which you can do, or in parts where you match them together. And so I think for me, these cities that we're going to are the cities that you think about. Austin, it's a high-tech hub. It's a better than a high-tech hub because unlike Silicon Valley, no offense to them, there's a reason we're not there. Silicon Valley is not blockchain friendly per se. They have VCs and all that other stuff.
Can you do a
Austin
Silicon
is.
Valley accent?
Pardon me?
Can you do a Silicon Valley accent?
I could do Valley Girl or Valley Guy, but then I would really offend somebody and they'll get it wrong. But no, I think that these different locations are so very important. It's like, and I'll pass it to you, gentlemen. I talked about this earlier today with somebody. It's like Mecca to certain religions. It's like the Mormon temple here in Salt Lake City to the Mormons. There are certain places on the map that your whole point is to journey there. It's not enough to get on the internet and go, oh yeah, that's cool, Taj Mahal, or the 7 wonders of the world. It's about getting in your car, not a plane, or getting on your bicycle or whatever it is, and taking that journey. And so these places that we've been to have been quite the journey. And when we go back, we'll have that same audience that goes, yeah, we're in your town of Texas. We're in your town of California, or aka Southern California, Utah, Puerto Rico's big for us. And of course, Miami and NFTs and blockchain. It just always, it will be like a Vegas.
One thing that I feel, and it's partly because it's true, is that a lot of people don't realize that there is a lot of blockchain activity in Canada. There's so much. Our government's very blockchain friendly. Ontario as a province is the number 4 holder of Bitcoin in the world. Like there's a lot.
I had no idea.
Most of it's TC, but it still counts.
There's a lot going on in Canada. We have there's boards that are working with the federal government and stuff, and yeah, man, there's a lot going on, and it sucks with this COVID thing lining up exactly with NFTs that it's been tough, like traveling over borders and stuff right now, and the logistics of trying to do a conference in Canada, which I did a few years ago, and a lot of people had flown out for them. But man, I wish things were a little easier right now, because this NFT thing is really powerful and it's really uniting a lot of different communities, and the crypto community with the art community, with the gaming community. Like it's unreal, man.
How do you see in your Aidan, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, like, imagine being someone, a decade or 2 in the future and seeing this movie. What kind of impact do you want it to have on someone who's going to see it a long time down the line when NFTs have developed?
I'm glad you said that. I will say, as it relates to our neighborhoods and NFT thing, there's only so many people who are really in the know, who really care. So it's like, whether it's Canada or Utah or other places, we're just kind of a speck on the map right now as far as the NFT,
at least our most of our community is on the Wax blockchain.
Yeah.
Not that we're like, I'm agnostic. I don't own any Ethereum NFTs, just because when I really was getting into NFTs, the gas fees were ridiculous. And the thing that attracted me to Wax was, like I mentioned earlier, the collectability, the being able to relate it to like what made Pokemon cards rare, or video games, or, like the nostalgia. And I found that was what Wax was all about, what Atomic Hub was all about, compared to a lot of the ETH ones. So do you consider yourself like chain agnostic? Do you own NFTs on multiple blockchains, or?
And that's a good question. And I apologize because I went back to the first and didn't answer Aidan's, but I'll definitely answer that. Aidan, I think what I want to see out of this movie is when somebody looks at the characters, it's almost like any great movie, not necessarily a documentary, but a movie where they're timeless. We have Brittany Kaiser, who is pregnant. She is no longer pregnant. The baby's here on the planet. There's this, that you can't replace a beautiful woman in front of a camera talking seriously with the fact that she's pregnant and she's about to deliver a baby. That's a human condition. You have people who've been sleeping in the park, who are artists for the rest of our lives till the man is gone from this earth, we will always have people who decide, I would rather suffer in certain ways so that I can shine in others. That's just that's our path, man. Like the path of a broken down, like just crazy artist makes that beautiful music because they were broken down and kind of crazy, you know? As far as the technology is concerned, Shawn, I'll tell you something that has been really something that I've learned through as I get older and more mature, and that is when to jump in the water with everybody else. Like I've been really cautious, and I'm going to teach you something about valuations in companies. Okay, and this is all planned, and something I don't normally share, but if I share this little part, you're like, oh, okay, I kind of get why he's doing what he's doing. If you go to nftthemovie.com, which I'm not promoting so you go to the site and do something with, there's nothing there. There's a mission statement, there's a logo, and I've even taken off the form at the bottom that says, call me if you want to be in the movie. I don't have enough time. I wish I could. I've gotten back to everybody I could personally. The reason I've done that is because when you create a company, you have to show milestones, right? And the way I do it in my life is, and we should all do it this way. If you're going to do a favor for somebody, I look at it as tokens. I don't give a token at a time. I give it at a bushel at a time. If you give it somebody token at a time, you could give $1 million to somebody, and every single day you give them $100, and after 1,000 days, they're like, or whatever, 10,000 days, they're like, you didn't give me any money. You're like, what are you talking about? Gave you $1 million. Mm-hmm. So the first things first is you get like bang for your buck. What's your bang for your buck? Okay. Well, as far as these platforms are concerned, you have to understand the reason that people let us in the front door, and I'm not going to the highest highs or the lowest lows, kind of going to the median crowd, is I want them to be able to trust me and say, hey, man, I'm going to tell you a few things, but because you are agnostic, because you do care about cross-chain and low gas fees and making sure that the future is bright and all that stuff that every single person cares about on this channel, I have to be very careful what I'm using. Like if I'm going to go run outside and I was somebody who was doing a documentary on runner, I wouldn't put on Nikes, because by me putting on Nikes, people are like, oh, Nike's sponsoring them.
Well, what are you going to do? Run in your bare feet? And
you can't. So here's the answer to that. That's a good point. So here's the answer to that. In the end, because we're almost done with the film, we're almost done. In August, we're going to start, our site's going to change dramatically. We'll start selling posters. We'll start selling the trailer. We'll start doing all that stuff.
Are those going to be sold as NFTs?
They're going to be as NFTs, bro. Full on NFTs, and it's going to have the best economics behind it, the best platform. And it's from, and I won't name names, some of the people that you know, some of the people that you don't know that are in the background right now that are spending time with our people, like 2 hours on a Father's Day with some of our people, like just teaching us the things that we need to know. And I said this before in your show, but it's kind of like, and then I'll pass it to you, gentlemen, if I went too far in those questions, but it's like we're filming somebody with an eating disorder. But the difference is the normal filmmakers, they don't go home and throw up. I do. Like I'm living what these artists, musicians, and all the rest of these people are going through, because they're going 7 steps forward and taking 9 steps back sometimes. And so I'm learning kind of from their missteps, like what people say about wax. What do they say about other things? Yeah. Like, what is the real answer? Just because 100 people say it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. But some of the smartest people out there who tell me they don't always give me the sunshine. There's this guy, Dane. He isn't always giving me sunshine. He's kind of giving me like, that's BS, bro. I like it. I like to, and so we're just trying to plan it so that inevitably we have the right platform for our posters, our movie, and everything, because we have just as much at stake as anybody else who's selling their art.
For sure, man. Where's the movie gonna premiere? I know you're wrapping up at the end of July there. But where's it actually gonna premiere?
Good question. So I have to make sure that we fall within the guidelines of the festivals, because the last thing they want you to do is show the film in its entirety before they actually get a chance to show it at the festivals. So traditional festivals we're submitting in August for Sundance, Tribeca, Toronto, Toronto, and all these places, so that we can get it in. Then in August, we'll be offering limited trailer of the movie.
Okay.
So we'll start it letting out little by little, in little bits and pieces, until we're really, really sure from the Hollywood side, production side, that we're not stepping on any toes by letting it out too early. If we get any kind of indication like, look, guys, you need to keep back 75-80% of the movie, don't sell your NFTs just yet till it hits some of these festivals, then the answer to the question, Shawn, is first part of 2022.
Okay.
So January, February, that's when Sundance is and some of these other festivals. I will say this.
Why can't they do those festivals in the summer?
Right. Well, there's other festivals besides Sundance.
More people want to stay home and watch movies in the winter.
Yeah. Well, and there's millions, there's tons of not millions, but there's tons of events that we can go to. What I was going to lead into was, now that we have this ability to show it as an NFT, we can go to galleries. There's venue spaces that have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 in and outdoor spaces where you can bring people in like we normally would do. If it was an event in Miami, you get in your car, you get in your plane, you're like, I'm coming to this event. And what's cool about it is there's so many freaking characters in the movie, in the NFT side. There's a lot of people who want to see themselves. They want to see their friends. They want to see the city. They want to see, maybe it's an artist who they assimilate with, and they're just fans.
What did making the movie teach you about the bromunity and the space in general?
Well, I've been in the quote unquote bromunity for about 3.5 years, since Puerto Rico. And whereas some people kind of took their foot off the pedal during COVID, I was doing personal development events up in Park City on Main Street for free for all these top leaders and stuff. And part of it was crypto and part of it was other stuff. So I've always centered myself around people like yourselves, guys, who were like the 5% of the 95%. But what I can tell you is this, is that I thought the ICO days, like in 2017, 2018, and the tail of 2019, I thought that was unique.
Yeah.
That's not unique. That's a condition of something that when everybody, that's happening again times 10 with NFTs. So it feels, I've even bumped into people in Miami that were back in these parties we were having, and we're bumping into each other and we're like, dude, I know you. And I'm like, yeah, I know you too. And you snap out of it. It's like, you know what it's like, guys? It's like the premortal existence to heaven. So you're an angel, you come to heaven, you don't remember anything, but then you bump into somebody in the street and you're like, dude. And you're like, you have that instant connection because you know them and stuff, and you've shared some sort of magic somewhere else, but you've combined it. That answer, Aidan, it's like, we have done in 90 days what most, I was talking to a traditional filmmaker today. He's like, what are you going to do this for? About 100 grand? And he was being conservative. Like, yeah, you're really doing it on the cheap. Guys, I've spent 20. And by the time I'm done, it may be 50. Where in the world can that ever happen then unless you have people giving instead of taking? There's no freaking way this could ever happen this fast, this cool, this competent, and it won't get it perfect. That's not the point. That's what those other tickets are for. We can still move this story down the line. But if we live our life, I'll end it with this, on an MVP point of view, the minimal viable product. I get my gas in my car. My car is a minimal viable product. I don't care that it's a BMW. There's no badges on it in the first place. They're all fallen off. It's old as ass. It's 24 years old.
It's not a new BMW. Yeah.
No, dude. People are like, is it a Miata? Because it doesn't have the BMW signals on it. So the whole crux of this whole thing, as you guys can see, is just to be able to have a conversation with my good friends, Shawn and Aidan.
Well, honestly, man, this has been an amazing conversation, and I hope we have many, many more. It's been great getting to know you, man, honestly, over the last couple of weeks as you've been a guest on the Saturday session and then on this episode here. So anything you need help with, man, you reach out, you know, consider you family now, bro. I hope I see you on more Saturday sessions. You've got an unlimited lifetime membership in our audience and to come and speak about anything that's, you know, evolving out of the movie. You have dates that are confirmed. You want to come announce them, man, please come do it on Just Learn Crypto first. One more shout out, I guess, to the sponsors, because obviously they're helping us make this happen. And they're really amazing people behind the companies that are helping Just Learn Crypto with our mission to educate people on not only big projects, but small projects, obscure projects, projects that you may not have heard about if it wasn't for the people in the Bromunity, the people that are doing these unique things. So thank you so much to ubiquity.io, carcitycanada.ca, and R2 Collectibles. I hope to see everyone on the next Saturday sesh. And Jeff, thanks so much, man.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. We'll see you at the premiere there in Toronto.
Absolutely, you will.